The Whispering Fields, Part 2. The days after Arvind's disappearance felt different in the village. There was a palpable tension in the air, as though the very earth itself was holding its breath. The villagers spoke of the event in hushed tones, warning their children to never go near the fields, especially on the full moon. But as the years passed, the stories started to fade from the memories of the younger generation. Yet, one night, a girl named Priya, Arvind's younger cousin, arrived in the village. She had heard the stories, but she was skeptical. Priya was a curious, brave soul, and unlike Arvind, she wasn't afraid of the unknown. She decided that she would solve the mystery once and for all. On the night of the next full moon, Priya made her way to the same field where Arvind had disappeared. The village was eerily quiet, the only sound being the soft rustle of the wind. As she walked deeper into the field, she felt an unnatural stillness settle around her, as though the world itself was holding its breath. At first, there was nothing, no whispers, no voices. The only sign that something was wrong was the way the moonlight seemed to cast long, twisted shadows over the land. But as Priya ventured further, the whispers began. Faint at first, like a faraway murmur, they slowly grew louder. Priya's heart began to race, but she pressed on, determined to find the truth. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice barely audible over the rising wind. The whispers stopped. Silence. Then a single voice rang out, a voice she could hear clearly in her mind, as if it were coming from inside her own head. "Help me, Priya." It was the same voice she had heard the villagers describe, a voice of sorrow and pain. Priya turned toward the sound, and in the distance she saw her, the woman from the legends, her figure illuminated by the moon. The woman was standing on the far side of the field, staring directly at Priya with hollow eyes. Priya's pulse quickened, but instead of running, she felt compelled to walk toward her. Each step felt heavy, as though the earth beneath her feet was pulling her in. As she got closer, the woman's features became clearer. Her hair was long, wild, and flowing, her face pale and gaunt. But there was something else. The woman seemed to be fading in and out of existence, as if she were not fully part of this world. "Why are you here?" Priya asked, her voice trembling. The woman's mouth moved, but no sound came out. Instead, the whispers filled the air, louder than ever, until Priya could hardly hear herself think. "Help me! Break the curse!" The woman finally managed to whisper, her voice almost drowned out by the cacophony of sound around Priya. Priya stepped closer, now only a few feet away. Her mind raced with questions, but before she could ask another, the woman reached out, her fingers cold and translucent, touching Priya's arm. A chill ran through her body, as the woman's touch felt like death itself, draining her strength. Suddenly, Priya saw a flash of memories. Not her own, but the woman's. A past filled with sorrow, betrayal, and a terrible mistake. The woman had been a villager long ago, a young bride who had been murdered by her husband during a night of madness. But that wasn't the full story. The husband had been cursed, driven mad by a dark force that had taken root in the land. In the moment of her death, the woman's spirit had become tied to the field, forever trapped in the cycle of the full moon, unable to find peace until the curse was broken. "Priya, you must free me before the moon sets." Priya, filled with a sense of urgency, realized that this woman, this tortured spirit, wasn't the only one affected. The entire village had been cursed, bound by the same dark force that had taken hold of the land so long ago. The whispers weren't just the woman's cries, but the cries of all the lost souls trapped by the curse. She looked around, feeling a strange pull toward the center of the field. There she saw an old stone well, partially covered by overgrown vines. The villagers had long forgotten about it, but it was the source of the curse. The well had been sealed with dark magic, and Priya understood that in order to release the spirits, including the woman, she had to break the seal. As Priya knelt beside the well, she began to chant words she didn't fully understand, the ancient language flowing from her lips as if guided by an unseen force. The air grew heavier, the whispers intensifying until they were a deafening roar. With one final cry, the ground beneath her trembled and the seal on the well shattered. The earth split open, and a wave of dark, shadowy figures erupted from the depths. The spirits, freed at last, swirled around Priya in a frantic, swirling storm of emotion, rage, sadness, and longing. But as the wind howled and the shadows faded into the moonlit,